Welcome back to Market on Close. I'm Sam Bartas, live from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. As the AI trade heats up, investors look towards stocks already utilising AI beyond many of the mega cap names. To discuss one of those stocks, it's time now for Overlooked Stocks. I'm joined by George Tsilis, Senior Markets Correspondent, to discuss the latest for BigBear.ai. What are you seeing there, George?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you take a look, Sam, today, BigBear.ai seems to be going against the grain with the overall market, higher by about 14%. One of the things I've noticed, especially in the last, about 5 or 6 trading sessions, is we've seen some pretty significant price action. But with that, we've also seen some volume pickup. So it seems to be that there's some accumulation of shares, probably because we're seeing, of course, a lot of money moving back into some of the smaller cap areas of the equity stack. If you look at BigBear.ai, it is an artificial intelligence name. It's essentially a name that isn't really in the data center space like a lot of the other names we've talked about, or in the quantum computing space, which, if you look at those names, have done extremely well, not to mention the nuclear power technology companies as well. But this company is a company that provides data analysis and intelligent solutions technologies, primarily for things like the Defense Department, as well as for domestic intelligence like border control. But they also provide their technologies, which are based on predictive analytics for transportation, security, manufacturing, logistics, but also the travel, entertainment, and leisure space. So it is a growing company. Overall, it is technically, I guess, more of a smaller cap name, or small to mid cap name, around $2.5 billion. There wasn't anything meaningful in terms of news today that's pushing it higher. But they did, of course, talk about how the U.S. Navy has approached BigBear.ai and utilized their technology and found some very compelling reasons to see some potential coordination or partnerships with the U.S. Navy, considering, again, that BigBear.ai is essentially a very small and niche player that's competing with some of the behemoths out there. Companies that also compete with BBAI are Palantir Technologies, which I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with, C3AI, as well as IBM.
Yeah, it's interesting because the move we've seen higher today comes off the back of quite a significant move to the upside, really since around the middle of September, I'm seeing, when it was just under $5. I mean, it's up 82% or so year to date. I'm just wondering, while there might not be any obvious headlines around today, and I know you've pointed to some potential reasons there, I mean, what sort of set things off mid-September to see the gains that we've seen over the course of the last couple of weeks?
Well, I mean, if you look at the price action in the stock, it did come in and bounce off the 200-day moving average right around that September time where you saw a pivot point in the price action. I think a couple of things are suggestive of why it's moving higher. One, it could have been just a technical bounce off that level. There's a lot of momentum in some of these periphery names like BBAI, as well as, Rigetti Technologies, which is a quantum company. And we're seeing a lot of movement into the areas like the AI-based needs for energy production. And some of these nuclear stocks are going through the roof. So I think there's just maybe some fall through momentum as investors or even traders are latching on to thematic investing. The other thing is, I think there's the aspects of secondary offerings. One of the things you got to consider is, what's the revenue base of the business? This one has around 152 million in the last 4 quarters. The cash burn is around 450 million. So that's something you have to be mindful of. But in terms of potential secondary offerings. But one of the things I also noticed is, if you go back and look at some of the headlines, the company did issue a secondary offering. They closed that offering for additional 65 million shares. They closed it in late August. So that also could be an impetus as to why it's been moving since September, because the risk is still there of another secondary, but it's lesser of a risk because they already issued a secondary and it closed in August. And lastly, I think the other thing is interest rates. Even though the 10-year rate really hasn't done much since the Fed announcement, we are seeing quite a bit of momentum in smaller cap areas of the market. Russell 2000, which we talked about a lot. And again, I think this is a thematic latching onto companies like BigBear.ai because it's a smaller cap name. So in this case, because the company's still burning a lot of cash, really you should maybe suggestive of just looking at the technicals. And it looks like right now, if you look back at the July levels around $8.60, that seems to be an area where maybe it's the stock is gravitating towards. And if it breaks out of that area, it may end up going to the company's all-time high, which, if you look at the chart, goes back to February around $10.50. So there's obviously a lot of momentum, a lot of volume, and it's not too large of a market cap business to be pushed around. And I think that's what's happening here.
Okay, yeah, it certainly has a few things going for it, doesn't it? I mean, strong government ties, as you mentioned, so Uncle Sam, but also it is riding on the coattails of a growing AI market right now. So let's watch this name up 14% in trade today. Certainly a bright spot in what is otherwise a down market today. George, thank you so much for joining us.